Hello, everybody out there, and good morning. It is Topher G with you on the first, actually, technically, okay, the second day of April 2022. Got some stuff we want to talk about this morning. So yesterday was April Fool's, obviously. I don't know if anybody got anybody, that you know. If you got, I'm sorry. A couple things got me, but mostly social media crap, of course. But here, and I'll be the first to admit, and I was quick to fix it, but on one of our local publications had a article, and I'll share it. And first, share my comment. What I first saw was the headline. Let me see if I remember exactly what it was. Goodness gracious, brain fart. Oh, House approves bill legalizing marijuana. I was like, what? And before I even opened the article, I was quick to comment and be like, okay, now, assholes. Like, that's not even funny. Not as necessarily somebody who smokes weed anymore. I damn sure am an advocate for it, though. I've found that between CBD and Delta, 8 and 10 of the variants of that are legal this is what's so weird. They're going after that stuff, knowing it's just derivatives of the plant that are legal. So if they're going to make the main, and politicians want to make the actual Delta 9, which is the chemical that produces the most THC strength. It's where the potency comes from if you smoke a piece of Yukon Gold or whatever. So it seems weird, and it sounds like a money grab or stopping somebody from getting money that they can't really get their hands on. So they're really known for doing that. It's the reason weed was made illegal in the first fucking place in this country. Had nothing to do with the only thing that marijuana can do to hurt somebody is hurt themselves. And what I mean by that is, if you let it control you to the point where you do absolutely fucking nothing, but you don't make money to buy more weed. So, I've never met a person or known of a person who has died from fucking marijuana. So, I know people that have had panic attacks and adverse effects. Well, then you know what? Then it's not for you. So, but the attack on is puzzling. And we'll go into some of that, a little more in depth a little later. But as far as that was my comment on Facebook, was like, hey, that shit's not funny. You're not cool. Fuck you, WJBF. And because a lot of times I do that. I find something that, catch the headline or whatever really quick, and then post it to my page. And now I'm sure you see those warnings about whatever. Sometimes it's based off of the simple fact that you're fixing to share something that they don't want you to share. And then other times it's, why do you want to share stuff that you haven't opened? And even again, it seems like that's a majority of what could be more conservative storylines. That's just, I'm calling it how I see it. I'm not, there's no reason for me to fucking lie, but that's just the trend I see. But I'll post something because I know I'll go back and watch it later, even if no one else fucking does. And, you know, that was the plan here. And then I stopped. I was like, okay, hold on now. Nobody's really commented or viewed or said anything on this. Maybe it's not bullshit. Because again, I know there's what shocks me. No, actually, no, it doesn't. But the one thing I don't like about Republicans as a conservative, kind of, you know, not hard leaning to that side, but again, common sense governing is what I try to go for and what makes sense to me. And being able to see, again, there are some shitty rhinos. There's some politicians on the side that I tend to favor, especially now, but that are terrible, that Pence, like, I hope you never get elected for shit again. I hope you don't get elected for fucking traffic person at a fucking elementary school, like, or treasury at 4 fucking H. I don't like nothing. You should not hold office. You shouldn't hold a damn plaque or a piece of, or a letter or a piece of paper that says office on it. Like, you shouldn't even pick up the DVDs for the show Office. Unless they rig an election for your ass, you will never ever win back the votes of true Republicans and true people. You had an obligation to do what's right, and you pussied out. So, those are the rhinos. I mean, I guess he's really not a rhino, but a guy that I really liked until I started seeing him fall, you know, seeing whatever, that you don't think that Trump was going to win, or, yeah, whatever. Lindsey Graham turned his back in favor of staying in his seat instead of getting the president's or 45's back. So, you know, all I can do is talk to my South Carolina people and say, hey, don't vote for his ass this time. I used to like the guy. I would have voted for him. Hell, I would have voted for him for president. Had, you know, it's something that Trump wise or whatever, or in the future up until that point. But there's just there's no. I call them out on both sides. So, that's why I thought, because the Republicans are the ones that have always kind of been against the drug thing. The war on drugs, DARE, all that crap. That's Reagan, you know. That was Nancy's thing. So I saw this and thought it was bullshit. But let's read it together. House approves bill legalizing marijuana. So again, remember, the House. Then what's next, people? Do any of you really even know? I'm sure a lot of you do. But the House passed legislation on Friday to legalize marijuana nationwide and eliminate the long-standing criminal penalties for anyone who distributes or possesses it. Lawmakers passed the bill largely along party lines, 220 to 204, with 3 Republicans joining all but 2 Democrats in support. I like the way they worded that. Very kind of coy. With 3 Republicans joining all but 2 Democrats in support. So, only 3 Republicans in total voted for it. That says something. It's naive. There's so many reasons that it should be legal, period. But at least medical. Hell, man, there's no, I mean, if you open shops in every state, and that was the reason it was happening, and the reason the Democrats pushed for it, the Republicans are still too stuck to their hippie, like, attack on drugs and the thought that pot, again, they're not looking at the science. And I hate to say that because the Democrats appreciate it and they don't, but, you know, the money and the science shows there's no reason that the government shouldn't be taking advantage of this and making more money and paying off money off the debt and actually giving back and doing stuff for the country that could be benefited out of taxing marijuana. And that's the reason they couldn't, and they made it illegal when they did. Paper companies, cotton farmers, and a host of other groups were the reason it was made illegal, because they were losing out on money. So the rich people in power with ties to these people made it happen. So again, but anyway, the measure now goes to the Senate, where Majority Leader Charles Schumer, fuck that guy, is working. I mean, this is the only thing I agree with them on. You know, it's hard to even give them a clap on the back. And I don't want to be that way because I don't want the other side to be that way. So, you know, when it's something that you believe in, whether you're a Democrat, but you believe that, you know, abortion is wrong, you can be varied. You don't have to be directly in tow with absolutely every talking point as a liberal or a conservative. Come on. I mean, I hope it's, again, I believe that we're almost in that, you know, time and place. But anyway, because I mean, I did it right there, but I don't like it. It's not that Chuck Schumer is a Democrat that I don't like him in this sense. He's horrible. It wouldn't matter if he was a Republican. He's got to go. He's been there too long. Like, but anybody that's been there for over 10 years really has to get the fuck out. Because again, you can, all on the left, you can clap all you want about Obama and his 8 years. It did nothing to put America first. It only, if you really look at the fucking numbers, when it comes to jobs lost, like out of the country, like the start of getting away from fossil fuels, like there was a lot of things that were very, very terrible. I think the two things that anybody ever brings up is just a common person that doesn't really like dig, would bring up is Obamacare and Obama phones. I mean, let's not look at the fact that he did, you know, in 4 years, a white man that y'all call racist did more for fucking black folks and Latinos and other nationalities than Obama did in 8. I mean, it's just a fact. It's truth. It's numbers. They don't lie. Unemployment rate, gas prices, just every fucking thing. The price of lumber, the price, just, you know. But not being attacked and having, you know, things handed to you like it seems Biden is, and sometimes Obama had it, like, it just kills me that people don't see the common things. And again, all Obamacare did was us the start of socialism, because that is a socialist fucking idea. And on top of that, it's strictly against our Constitution to fine somebody for making mandatory something that's never been mandatory. I mean, again, I got fucking fined as a gigging musician because I didn't pay for Obamacare every fucking year, or pay for insurance. I don't get sick, I don't get hurt. I'm you know, an independent contractor. But it's not government health care for all. And when you don't abide, you get penalized financially. That's bullshit. That's more Marxism than socialism. But the idea that you can get fucking fine. And again, that's the talking points for as a positive thing that their administration did. It was horrible. Screwed up the healthcare system. Ask a fucking doctor. But it's not clear a bill to broadly legalize marijuana could clear the necessary 60 votes to advance in the Senate. Schumer may not have enough support within his own Democratic caucus. These two Democrats who represent states ravaged by the opioid epidemic, Senators Joe Manchin of West Virginia, who's an ass, and Jeanne Shaheen from New Hampshire, have expressed skepticism about the proposal. And again, if you're... It seems so ass backwards to me. Whatever the crisis is, you would hope that legalizing something like marijuana may take heroin out of the hands of heroin users, just because it's another way. It might be easier for some people to get fucking heroin than it is to get marijuana. I don't know. I know it's easier to find other crap around here than it is to find weed. At least like it was not when I was in my 20s, or hell, even my 30s, for that matter. So, oh wow. Oh, I gotta read something here. That's not cool. Oh. Anyway, let's continue to read. Sorry, getting sidetracked here. So far, 9 Senate Republicans have signed on as co-sponsors to Senator Jeff Merkley's companion bill in the upper chamber. House Democrats previously passed a bill to legalize marijuana in December of 2020. But that measure didn't go anywhere in the Senate, which was still under GOP control at the time. The bill, titled the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, would clear marijuana-related convictions from people's records and formally remove it from the federal list of controlled substances. The legislation would also impose a federal tax on marijuana sales to fund programs aimed at helping communities harmed by the so-called war on drugs, policies that establish harsh punishments for distributing and using drugs. Oh, I remember with the thing about Manchin and that and the opioid crisis. Again, like, you would hope that they would be for anything besides fucking heroin deaths. So, anyway, the sales tax would start at 5%, gradually increase to 8% over 5 years. Opponents argued that it's past time for federal government to catch up to the majority of states that have legalized marijuana, to at least some extent. For far too long, we have treated marijuana as a criminal justice problem instead of a matter of personal choice and public health, said House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler, who is a Democrat out of New York, the chief sponsor of the bill. Enough pushback from the people in New York, like, hey man, like, Canada's here, they got legal, like, we're already, so can we just make it legal, bro? If states are the laboratories of democracy, it is long past time for the federal government to recognize that legislation has been a resounding success and the conflict with federal laws has become untenable. Nadler said. Nadler, sorry. Before final passage, the House rejected an amendment from Republican J.B. Raskin to clarify that people can't be denied security clearances over marijuana use due to 12 Democrats joining all but 2 Republicans in opposition. Democrats further framed the measure as a way to reverse the disproportionate impact of criminalizing marijuana on racial minorities. Black Americans are nearly 4 times more likely than white people to be arrested for marijuana possession, despite both races using the drug at roughly the same rate, according to the American Civil Liberties Union. Make no mistake, yes, it is a racial justice bill, said Republican Barbara Lee, Democrat out of California. Representative Barbara Lee, sorry, not Republican. She's a Democrat from California, a Congressional Cannabis Caucus co-chair and member of the Congressional Black Caucus. Republicans argue that marijuana is enough of a mind-altering substance to pose a threat to society. Record crime, record inflation, record gas prices, record number of illegal immigrants crossing our southern border, and what are the Democrats doing today? Legalizing drugs. Legalizing drugs and using American tax dollars to kickstart and prop up the marijuana industry. Wow, says Jim Jordan, top Republican on the House Judiciary Committee. Well, Jim, this is where I disagree with you, bro. You're not thinking right. You're not thinking smart. Do some more research into the fucking plant. Do some more fucking research, bro. Quit living. I don't know where. Dude, there's enough research out there to show you it helps more than harms, bro. I don't know. Again, it's stupid to be faltering on this and missing this one. But at least 37 states, 4 territories, and the District of Columbia allow the use of marijuana for medical use, according to the National Conference of State Legislatures. About half that number, 18 states, 2 territories, and the nation's capital will allow it for non-medical. So even in our nation's capital, guys, they're okay with it. You don't hear anything on the news about Washington and their problem with fucking marijuana, do you? I don't hear shit. Some Republicans who support legalizing marijuana opposed House Democrats' bill on Friday, arguing there should have been more bipartisan approach. Again, man, God, just don't get the back and forth with these assholes. Representative Nancy Mace, Republican from South Carolina, called for bringing the legislation on the House floor on Friday closer to her own marijuana legalization bill, which would limit marijuana use people above the age of 21 and establish a lower sales tax that would not rise for 10 years. I'm okay with that. That's, have incentives for states not to sell to kids or markets it or advertise to kids, Mace told The Hill. I mean, I think that would be fucking common sense, but again, Democrats, if they had mentioned that in their bill, then good for this lady calling them out. My tax is a lot lower at 3%. Theirs is 8 after 3 years, and we all know that you're going to guarantee illicit markets if you make the taxes too high. Representative Dave Joyce, a Republican from Ohio, a Congressional Cannabis Caucus co-chair, wrote in an op-ed for Marijuana Moment, a publication that focuses on marijuana policy, that he would not support the bill on Friday either. So, responsibly end prohibition, but you're on the damn caucus. Wow, that's weird. To responsibly end prohibition, the federal government must simultaneously issue a regulatory framework that works in conjunction with states' specific needs. The MORE Act lacks the critical element or any meaningful and immediate regulatory safeguards at all, leaving individual states to sort out issues typically reserved for federal agencies in the interim, Joyce wrote. So, oh, ye of little faith to fucking people running the states. Jeez. The House has passed legislation multiple times in past years to allow legally operating marijuana businesses to access banking services and credit cards, so they don't have to be cash only. So far, 9 Senate Republicans have signed on as as co-sponsors to Senator Jeff Merkley's, who is a Democrat from Oregon, companion bill in the upper chamber for more narrow marijuana legalizations. So that was my thing. I thought it was April Fool's until I read up on it. Okay. Anyway, so hopefully, again, this is not from a standpoint of somebody. I'm not even. Again, I can't even think of the last time I've smoked. I really can't. So, I think it's a good idea. Someone who, again, I'd love to hear some opposition on it because I don't see the issue when so many other states have seemed to be figuring it out or have it figured out. Again, these old triffs just fuck up stuff sometimes that would actually benefit people. Kills me. So, I don't know why oh, that's so damn loud. Jeez. Ricky. Again, just because it's my show, I do what I want. I think this may be my favorite one so far of the whole thing. Oh, I'd love to see it. Oh, I'd love to see it. Anyway. It's one of those things again, like it's such a crazy story, but I was just say other than I guess I have seen, what does he call it? Gemini Man. I guess that's the last Will Smith movie I've seen other than fucking Hancock that I liked. Or hell, that I've even seen, let's just be honest, that I've went out of my way to watch. So, I'm not really, I guess, a huge fan of him. I damn sure don't like the way his wife treats him. But, to each his own. But, the person here who really deserves all the positive attention would be Chris Rock. I mean, what a class act. I don't care if you think the joke was out of line or not. He's a fucking comedian. Get over it. Get some thicker skin, man. And then there's no defending. She must have said something to him. Because he was laughing. Will Smith was laughing at the fucking joke. Who goes from to I think it's a good idea to go get up, stand on stage, and go open hand slap a grown ass man on fucking national TV like it's a fucking movie. I mean, literally. She had to have said something. Because he didn't even see her roll her eyes. And it might have been like 2 or 3 seconds, if that, before he gets up. So, she's bad news. She's been bad news. I don't know. Your kids are grown, man. You ain't got to stick it out for the kids any damn more. They're grown. You've done enough for them. Trying to stick together. Like, it's just, you're obviously not in the right mental state, bro. This is from a voice of concern for a human being, much less somebody that I like or have liked. But that was, and I get it. I'll stand up for a friend or family member quick as anybody you'll ever meet and do crazy shit. Crazy shit. I'll tell you some stories sometime. In the middle of downtown Atlanta, 100,000 people around. Anyway, the fact remains that, again, I have no idea. I was not going to talk about this at all. I don't want to talk about this, but this is funny to me. Let's see here. I have not seen this, so we're going to watch it together.
So you were flagged. I was flagged. But then that's what I thought. You know, I like, oh, well, they're just saying. And then I thought to myself, wait a minute. Maybe I have all of this wrong. Maybe I have all of this wrong. And as I was thinking about it, I mean, I tossed and myself, wait a minute.
Okay, so what does it say here? So he got hit with a ban. What? Huh. So, okay, I shouldn't have just sat here reading this in dead silence. But again, this is my guy. One of my guys. I try not to miss Glenn, whether it's on TV, whether it's his Wednesday night show. Like, I'm in the car in the morning. That's where I'm at. If I'm at home in the morning, that's what I'm doing. So anyway, the flag, the New World Order is a conspiracy theory which hypothesizes a secretly emerging totalitarian world government. But I mean, they're talking about it all over the place. It's not a conspiracy theory anymore. The side that's calling conspiracy are the ones that are talking about it. But let's listen. I'm sorry. Let's start over here. Let's listen to the man. This must be from today.
So you were flagged. I was flagged. But then that's what I thought. You know, I like, oh, well, they're just saying. And then I thought to myself, wait a minute. Maybe I have all of this wrong. Maybe I have all of this wrong. And as I was thinking about it, I mean, I tossed and turned all night. And I thought, you know, if I have that wrong, oh my gosh, I have to get on the first thing. Because I always say I lead with my mistakes. I have to get on and do one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And also one of the most important things. You know, come on this program humbly before you and admit that I have been wrong. I'm just a man, I have an ego just like any other man. Prick me, do I not bleed? But I've made a point of always being truthful with you on what I see, and when that changes, when I find that I've allowed myself to stray down a dark, dark path away from the light in which I believe God shines on the proper path, I have no choice other than to make it right. So today I'd like to start the show with a public apology to a man I've been wronging for literally, almost 2 decades now. A man whose reputation I have helped sully, and whose life I have no doubt impacted in a very stressful and negative way. I used to take joy in that, but no, not any longer, because new information has landed on my desk. Yeah, I got it from YouTube. This is a conspiracy theory, and then it all started to unravel. So today, I have to admit that what YouTube did blew all of my previous assumptions about one man to absolute smithereens. And so today I say, George Soros, I'm sorry. I'm very, 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 very sorry. Because I remember when I called you the king on the chessboard. And I said that Barack Obama and Michelle Obama were just pawns. Do you remember that? Or those times I referred to you as the puppet master or the head of the snake. I don't know what I was thinking when I said those things. Honestly, because all I have left at this point is honesty. George, I don't know. Maybe it was a little bit of jealousy because you catch all the hot babes. Maybe it was me hiding behind anti-Semitism. I don't know, George. And I feel so bad about the head of the snake or the puppet master and all of that stuff. And oh my gosh. And then I thought, I never even got around to calling you the devil's geisha, or the poor man's Skeletor, or the wolf in wolf's clothing. I didn't even get a chance to call you pepperoni eyes, or the Reich man for the job, or old clawfoot. Hard to imagine, George, but it could have been worse. But I don't want that to taint this apology. Gosh, I remember when I said that you were behind the collapse of Southeast Asian currencies, those countries that won't let you in without arresting you. Oh my gosh, talk about being wildly out of line. I think I must have relapsed into drinking there for a while when I said that, because now it's just a total shameful blank to me. And all those times I talked about you wanting to destroy and then replace the capitalist system. Oh, glug, glug, glug. That's all I can say at this point. At one point I talked about the nearly $30 million that you pumped into basically buying local district attorney spots and installing radical prosecutors for around 11% of the entire population. I ranted and I raved about the massive crime that's spiking in every city that you touched, all the while never realizing it was part of a bigger and better plan, George. You see, I didn't take into account that you clearly did, in the wake of a movement to defund the police through the United States, you were giving those police something positive and important to do. Like anything else but police. I talked about a massive chunk of the 37.5 million people now living under these Soros-appointed district attorneys, that they were minorities. 15% of the entire black population of America is living under one of those Soros-appointed attorneys. 16% of the entire Hispanic population. I never once stopped to think.
Listen to the numbers, they're real.
Maybe you just wanted to put all those poor, marginalized people under your massive billionaire's wing to protect them. And you were protecting them from all of the outside harm that could happen. Oh, George, I stoop so low to call you spooky dude, pepperoni eyes. And that's just unacceptable. I made fun of your thick, cartoonish supervillain-esque accent, which was childish. I've often noted that the massive bags under your eyes make you look like the Emperor from Star Wars. In fact, I've compared you to him I mean, for a lot of reasons. Gosh, I had even had the temerity to put your face on the cover of my latest book, The Great Reset, because I genuinely thought you were a part of something that was going to destroy the American economy and bring our nation to its knees. Oh, George. I was so blind to your true intentions until YouTube cleared it up for me. It's a conspiracy theory. I just couldn't see what you wanted to do was just to fold this entire free country up under that same rich, powerful billionaire wing just to protect it from itself. Oh, pepperoni eyes, I am a deeply flawed man, Mr. Clawfoot, but I am not above reproach. I am not above coming on this program before God and the world and admitting that I have gotten it all wrong. And if you can find it in that big, warm, American values-loving heart that I used to say didn't exist at all, forgive me. Forgive me. I'm even wearing my Team Klaus shirt today.
That's great.
Hang on, what? Wait a minute. I'm getting. Wow, it's April Fool's Day. Gosh.
Great guy.
I'm sorry for the apology. I'm so sorry for the apology. I didn't know it was April Fool's Day. I'm such a fool.
Stand up. I love it. I love it. That was great. Well, so, again, even when talking to people who haven't, like, my father's a very smart guy. But he's from that generation, like, you know, most 30 and 40 somethings parents, you know, are of that age that they saw the moon landing. They experienced Vietnam. They experienced the Cold War and yada, 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 yada. Maybe possibly the end of World War II. They've been through it. They trust their governments. They found their fucking party. They stick to it. They don't question, for the most part, the government, unless it's something very fucking obvious. But, you know, even my father, who didn't know what the World Economic Forum was, even though it's been fucking being held for fucking 50 fucking years before it was brought to his attention. 50 fucking years. In talking about Agenda 21, which has been out since he was a kid. So he, you know, shame on our fucking public education system that it never brought that up, or that anything among time in his 60 years of life ever brought that to his attention to where he, you know, even knew that it was something that was discussed. Like so many others. But I have provided proof of that before, and I will do that shit again if you want to see it. But very easy to find. Anyway, this is not a conspiracy theory anymore, folks. And I'm going to show you fucking video right now, today, that's going to make you go, that's right. So just remember that it's real. Like, I don't know why people gotta keep lying about it, and it's at this point tough to argue. But you find what does Bill have to say here? Damn it, man. Check this out.
Bill O'Reilly here. Please watch this highlight from the No Spin News. To watch the full episode on demand, simply visit BillO'Reilly.com and become a subscriber today. Donald Trump. 2 stories. Amazing stories. Now, I got to walk through this because nobody is reporting it. You don't know about it. So the January 6th committee, this is in the House. This is run by Pelosi. Okay? They want to take Donald Trump off the board for 2024. That's what this is all about. They want to pin the Capitol riot directly on Trump. That's what that committee is in business to do. When the Republicans win back the House next November, that committee evaporates. So they only have 6 months. Now, the committee wants certain documents, okay? They want the documents about what Trump did on January 6th, from the time he got up to the time he went to sleep. What did he do every second? Right? Trump is saying, we're not going to give you those documents. Number one, executive privilege. And number two, a lot of them were conversations with my personal attorney, John Eastman. And that's attorney-client privilege. The only way you get around attorney-client privilege and executive privilege is by saying the president committed a crime, a la Richard Nixon. Enter Judge David Carter out in California, appointed by Bill Clinton. He came out yesterday and said Trump may have committed a crime. By saying that, the judge committed I don't know what the technical term is, but he violated his oath. Judges are not accusers. Judges cannot accuse anyone of a crime unless it's a personal nature. You broke into my house. So what Carter did should get him expelled from the bench.
Right away.
But he did it because the only way to get around executive privilege and attorney-client privilege is for somebody to say Trump committed a crime on January 6th, which is what Carter did, but Carter can't do it because he's a judge.
Sorry, guys.
He's not an investigator. He's not a law enforcement agent. He can't do it. He did it.
Yeah.
Will disciplinary action be taken against David Carter? Not under Biden's Justice Department, and Carter knows that. And that's why he did it. But all the headlines on the internet and everywhere else says, Trump may have committed a crime, federal judge says. Drive me crazy. Carter committed the crime by doing what he did, by making the accusation. It's insane.
Bill O'Reilly is back on TV and only on The First. No Spin News, every weeknight at...
So again, Bill hits us with something I didn't heard. They won't stop. It'll never stop until he's, after everything, and I'm sure it infuriates them that after everything they've tried to do, that he's got people that'll still vote for him. I'm sure it just drives them fucking bonkers, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has to. They don't like it. They know what he's about, and they're not about what he's about. So, let's we'll get to what I wanted to bring up here. It's been a while back. Yeah. Now, another one of my boys, we're going to watch this and bring this to light real quick, too, in case you missed it. But I'm also a big fan, a daily watcher of Mr. Dan Bongino down there in Florida. Glenn out of Texas, I get Mr. Mark Levin, and then the Florida guy, Dan Bongino. So, anyway, this is very shocking stuff. And we won't watch the whole thing. Well, hold on. I say that. That's not the clip I wanted to see. Let's see here. Well, so way back, I posted a lot of crap, haven't I? I really did. I really did. Oh, this should be another thing. Like we'll go to, but I want to watch. I want everybody to watch this real quick. Not very long. Take from it what you will. Damn it, man! I didn't tell it to start. Okay. So this is. I'm not of the age, but if any of my people are that are watching that remember Coco, this is Coco the gorilla. I did some research on Coco. Coco was a very smart primate, very smart gorilla. Gorilla. But look at this. I am flowers, animals. I am nature. Let me go back and actually read what he's signing. I am gorilla. I am flowers, animals. I am nature. Man, Coco love. Earth, Coco love. But man, stupid. Stupid. Coco sorry. Coco cry. Well, this looks like it's all pieced together, but time hurry. Fix Earth. Help Earth. Hurry. Protect Earth. Nature. Nature sees you. Thank you. It looks a lot awfully pieced together now that I really watch it again. And it could be just crap. But again, I just thought it was semi-interesting because I had heard after I saw this, I did some research and the gorilla, we could pull it up. I can show you now, but he was, you never know. I mean, it sounds absurd now that I'm saying it out loud. But anyway, that was not what. Oh my goodness. So every time I do that, we're really going to scroll back. Oh, that's nuts. Facebook needs to fix that crap. So yeah, so the whole New World Order thing, and that people are still denouncing, that it's not true and all this other crap, but like everything that I've posted lately has been this thing. But, I do apologize, guys. Hold on, hang in there. I'm sorry. I posted a bunch of crap yesterday. And not necessarily And that's something I want to address too. Oh my God, like, they are literally going after everybody for this January 6th thing, but like, again, I apologize here. Almost there, guys. Goodness gracious. How far back did I post it? Okay, here we go. This is definitely one of the ones that we wanted to look at a little bit.
The World Government Summit. The what? The World Government Summit happened yesterday in Dubai, and it was the introduction session yesterday.
Oh, bitch. What? Why did I even do that crap? Why can't I move that? I really can't move that? Okay, that seems crappy. Well, anyway. Damn it, Bill. Crap. Okay, anyway. Holy crap, dude. What just happened? Come here. Alright, so. Here we go. Since I guess I screwed it up any damn way. Dang it, dude. So this is more about the reset and stuff like that. So
the work into what is happening around us. I told you a minute ago, the World Government Summit. The what? The World Government Summit happened yesterday in Dubai, and it was the introduction session yesterday. And all the people that are the usual people were there. Huge crowd, gigantic theater with all of the critical, important people. And it was kicked off by, lo and behold, Klaus Schwab. Here's what he said.
We do not yet know the full extent and the systemic and structural changes which will happen.
Now listen to this.
However, we do know that global energy systems, food systems, and supply chains will be deeply affected.
Got it? We are changing things, and we don't know how that'll go. But we do know the global energy system, the food system, and the supply chains will be deeply affected.
For those who appreciate the hidden and the unhidden.
Well, but other than that, don't worry about it. It's only food, energy, and how we get things. But other than that, we're good. This is the arrogance of the elites. Now, one of the topics, their first session was, are we ready for a new world order? Are they trolling us? I think the reason why they're naming this is because, A, they really mean it. It is a new world order. But they also see an advantage of calling it the New World Order instead of the Great Reset, which it absolutely is. The New World Order, they call it that because that way when I say it to you and you're like, did you hear about the global government where their first session was, are we ready for the New World Order? Everybody rolls their eyes. Aha. But here it is. Day one, World Government Summit yesterday in Dubai. Here's the first session. Are we ready for a new world order?
And the title of this session, are we ready for a new world order? Well, the organizers here are nothing if not ambitious. This is, I think you will agree, a daunting subject for discussion at just after 9 a.m. on a Wednesday morning here in the relative calm of Expo 2020. But tackle it we must, yes. Because I believe what is clear is that we have hit an inflection point.
Ooh, wait a minute.
We are certainly living in a unique age of uncertainty and volatility in global affairs.
That is weird because it's almost exactly what Joe Biden said last week. Remember, we're at an inflection point that only happens once in a generation, maybe a little longer. So they're all talking the same game. And for anyone who says, digital money, it's like Bitcoin. No, it's not. Well, it'll never happen here. Okay. Here they are yesterday. Pippa Malmgren, she's an economist and former presidential advisor in the U.S., speaking yesterday at the World Government Summit, talking about the new digital money.
What underpins a world order is always the financial system. I was very privileged. My father was an advisor to Nixon when they came off the gold standard in 71. And so I was brought up with a kind of inside view of how very important the financial structure is to absolutely everything else. And what we're seeing in the world today, I think, is we are on the brink of a dramatic change where we are about to, and I'll say this boldly,
yes,
we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one.
The
new one,
dollar.
The new accounting is what we call blockchain. It means digital.
Listen to
it
this.
means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on. It also raises huge dangers in terms of the balance of power between states and citizens. In my opinion, we're going to need a digital constitution of human rights if we're going to have digital money. But also, this new money will be sovereign in nature. Most people think that digital money is crypto and private. But what I see are superpowers introducing digital currency. The Chinese were the first. The US is on the brink, I think, of moving in the same direction. The Europeans have committed to that as well. And the question is, will that new system of digital money and digital accounting accommodate the competing needs of the citizens of all these locations so that every human being has a chance to have a better life? Because that's the only measure of whether a world order really serves.
Yeah, I don't think so. But just to build on that, again, for anyone who thinks that I am crazy, you can now quote the New York Times. Not only is the New World Order, the Global Government Summit yesterday talking about this, but here's the New York Times. Central banks around the world are experimenting with issuing digital replacements for cash in the form of central bank digital currencies. But those are, by and large, not anonymous. Let me say that again. But those are, by and large, not anonymous. In January, a white paper from the Federal Reserve made it clear any digital currency it issued would differ materially from cash, which enables anonymous transactions, end quote. What does that mean? Let me translate. If the Fed issues a digital currency, which the president is now asking the Fed in a executive order to explore, they've already explored it. They have a white paper that's 78 pages long. They're on their own website. They put it there in January. They don't need to explore it. And they said that the Fed coin will differ materially from cash because no purchase will be anonymous. To some people, the loss of privacy is no big deal, especially if the death of cash makes life harder on criminals who often do business using stacks of $100 bills to avoid detection by the authorities. Representative Stephen Lynch, a Democrat from Massachusetts, a former iron worker who represents a part of Boston and its southern suburbs, isn't soft on crime, but he doesn't like the idea of banks and governments being able to track every single transaction every person makes. Quote, "We're trying to preserve some element of anonymity and not have full spectrum surveillance of every aspect of people's lives," end quote. This is from a Democrat. This is in the New York Times. Please don't say it's a conspiracy. And please don't say it could never happen here. Don't ever say those things again. You must understand we are living in a very different world. All of the old rules are gone. Everything that you thought you knew to be true, as I said, what you thought it was solid is liquid. Everything that you thought was liquid is now solid. The world is completely inside out and upside down. So, what is his plan? Well, Lynch introduced a bill directing the Department of Treasury, rather than the Federal Reserve, to develop an experiment with issuing digital dollar technologies. Oh, okay. So we don't want the Fed to have all that information, but the Treasury can have all of that information. Yeah, because the government wouldn't ever do anything with that information. That is not the solution. The solution, if you want a digital currency, then use blockchain. You want a digital currency, then you use Bitcoin, and you leave the off-ramp people alone. This is the final grab of total power globally. You need to understand it, you need to brush up on it, and you need to stand against it. You also need to prepare for a time when this does happen. What are you going to do? Most people will just go along with it because they'll say what people always say at times like these, well, it's not going to get any worse than this. They'll never do that. I urge you to watch last night's show, my TV Wednesday night special on Blaze TV. It was really, really funny. Classic chalkboard funny stuff. However, I laid out on the chalkboard. In fact, I want to play that clip later on in the program. I laid out on the chalkboard all the things that we all said could never happen. I spent 15 minutes before the show just writing them down off the top of my head. There are so many more than this. But once you see the list, you'll be like, holy mother. Wake up and make the decisions. Are you fine with somebody watching over and having a digital currency, a programmable digital currency that will control everything? By the way, this article in the New York Times goes on to say it's reestablishing the Treasury Fiscal Authority as a starting point. At first, it's a very small scale, but it's a window in how you might design similar stuff in the future. It's very MMT, modern monetary theory. Wake up. Read the book, The Great Reset. It's all in there. The Great Reset available everywhere.
And I will be getting my copy of that book here shortly. Should be here just a couple of days. But so again, proponents of the belief that the Great Reset, or if you're still listening to the left play it off day after day, like it's, you're getting called on it, and there's more proof in video of them saying it. You know, forget what Glenn's saying and listen to what the people, the globalist elites, are telling you. So anyway, that's awfully scary shit when you stop and think about it. And that's just the tip of that iceberg. Like, there's a lot behind that, if you know what I mean. Like, it's an attack on everything. Like, just because it seems like it's just the banking, no, it's all of it. Like he said, it's all of it. But they're not even trying to hide it anymore. They're past that. They're not even, they don't even care. So it's one of those crazy things here. Like, keep denying it and not be prepared for it, and listening to the left say, oh, it's conspiracy theory, and then them the ones that bring it up and say it, and you know, it's way past time to think that it could be real. And Glenn has no, you know, track record of just lying to lie, like some journalists, I say really loosely, you know, because you can tell how bad the left liberal media is when they're talking about this whole Disney story and the law in Florida, this don't say gay thing. Like, people out there, do you realize that it's nothing more than targeting the sexualization in school to kindergarten, first, second, third graders? Like, you know, and the last, I didn't want to make all this about the Great Reset, but since we're on it, I'll make a video about the Disney crap here shortly. But you know, there's been talk about the gold market and stuff like that in Breckenridge Woods, if you've ever heard about it. But like, that was crazy too. Well, again, that'll go in my Disney video. But that was a very good video. But did a lot of wrestling things. Everything that here we go. Damn it, man. I apologize about the pause, guys. Actually, we're going to go ahead and end the live stream. I will see y'all later. But we're going to keep recording for the podcast. I can cut this and edit this stuff, but I want to load my fucking stories here. Come on. Jesus. anyway. We'll go ahead and hit this one then.
Suggesting that the United...
Okay. We're going to go ahead and it's be easier to do it this way, won't it? Yeah, I guess it will.
Not using those.
Can we just pause there for a second? Because David,
The oil companies, why they're not using those.
can we just pause there for a second? Because David Asman of Fox Business is having quite the expression and response to that. Well, so just jump right in.
The audacity.
Thank you for being
here.
here.
Was Psaki yesterday having the lie again, suggesting that the United States producing more oil than we did in the Trump years. All of these are lies. I'm going to play it straight through, and then David Asman afterwards from Fox just shreds these absurd statements by Psaki that are total lies. Again, you're wondering why we're in an information vacuum, why we're susceptible to Russian propaganda? You want to know why people here and around the world, the propaganda from all over the place? Because we can't. Liberals constantly freaking lie, and nobody trusts a damn thing they say, to the point people trust propaganda from other places, ridiculously so, because the government's constantly lying to them. Here's Jen Psaki just railing off a litany of discredited, ridiculous lies. Check this out.
To be very clear, federal policies are not limiting the supplies of oil and gas. Let me finish. Let me finish.
An executive order this first week that halted new oil and gas.
Let me give you the facts here. There are 9,000 unused approved drilling permits. So I would suggest you ask the oil companies why they're not using those.
Oh, Jesus.
In my experience, if you work the land, you got to be a jack of all trades. You got to have a little bit of
So just jump right in.
The audacity.
Thank you for being here.
The audacity to tell Peter Doocy that facts can be inconvenient, and right after she says facts can be inconvenient, she misrepresents the facts. She said we have actually produced more oil. It is at record levels. That's not true. We are now producing in the United States 1.5 million barrels a day less than we were in December 2019. We are not at record levels. We're way below record levels, which were at the end of the Trump administration. That's when we had this extraordinary burst of production and became energy independent. So that's not true. Also, they're trying to lay the gas prices, the high gas prices at the pump, on Russia. Prices have been going up at the pump ever since President Biden was elected because the oil traders knew about his war on fossil fuels. He made no secret about it.
Exactly.
He advertised it when he was running for president. So they knew that they were going to be shutting down pipelines. They were going to be shutting down drilling and exploration. That's what oil traders do. They look to the future.
Sounds kind of like something I was explaining to you yesterday, right? With the options market, how people go long and they short. Long if you think a stock's going to go up, you short it if you think it's going to go down. How oil companies don't necessarily buy oil on this, airlines, and other companies who aren't in the energy business or in the transportation business, they hedge out their oil pricing. People just lie to you all the time. What about their assertion that they're producing more oil than the Trump administration did? Liars. What about that? Well, here's a Red State article you can read in the newsletter, thoroughly eviscerating and discrediting that stupidity. Headline, Red State by Duke. Joe Biden has a problem with facts. We produce less oil, not more, than under Trump. Folks, you need the data. It's right here in front of you. Here's the U.S. Energy Information Administration, the IEA.com. You can look at it yourself. U.S. field production of crude oil in barrels. 2019, 4,485,653 barrels. 2021, 4,082,478 barrels. Wow, that's really weird because as Duke says, if his subtraction is correct, that means in 2019, which was the last full year before COVID hit us, we produced 403,175 more barrels than we did in Joe Biden's first full year as president. Now, you might be wondering why he skipped Trump's last year in office in 2020. Maybe you're saying it's COVID and they didn't even, COVID, so the production was lower. Well, you'd be wrong there too. Because we actually produced more even under COVID than we did under Joe Biden. Folks, it's right there. It's a government website. It's right there. It's right there for you to see. You can go to EIA.com and look it up yourself. They're just lying. He produced less oil than under the Trump administration, even factoring in COVID.
That's funny.
And again, suckers on the left just continue to believe. You may be saying, well, what's going on with the oil rigs? Well, even Axios, Mike Allen's AM newsletter, they were forced to admit this, quote, the 519 active U.S. oil rigs marks a huge jump from the depths of the pandemic. But the count is still at just 60% of its 2019 peak. 2019, that was Trump, right? Just check. Joe Trump, 2019? Yeah, Trump, right?
Yeah.
He was. Okay, just check that. Yeah. Double check that there. Yeah, so we're only at 60% of that. Okay, good. That's good to know. Psaki told us otherwise, right? It's good to know. And finally, here's from the Blaze where they're telling you about all these. Oh my gosh, you have 9,000 permits they're sitting on. Why would they be sitting on these permits and leases, right? Maybe because there's nothing to drill for there. Has that ever occurred to you? So here's the president of the American Petroleum Institute debunking that nonsense. He says once you lease the land, there's a process you have to go through. First, you have to discover if there's actually oil and gas in the land. Shocker, Joe. Wow. Second, you have to get a permit to develop the land. He says right now we're actually developing more leases than we have in 2 decades. So the White House certainly doesn't have their facts straight on this either. Lie to you all the time. All the time. Nothing they're telling you is true.
So that's the point, guys. Like, when you see just one side of the stuff, you can say, oh, I believe that. Well, when you've got actual data that shows, otherwise, like, you can't, it's just hard to keep denying it over and over and over and over again. It is. It's just hard to deny over and over and over again. But they do. They have no problem lying to us. None whatsoever. Whatever it takes to keep up the farce, right? So, we know that they'll never own up and fess up to it. So, I guess it's best to just
largest military force in the world, right? And is one.
Oh Lord. Well, we do need to check this out here. Okay, hold on. And I'll probably be calling it a day, but so.
Is Australia vulnerable at the moment? Australia is the largest military force in the world. And as one of his supporters cautions tonight, the cost of conflict with China could be Armageddon. It's a prospect as terrifying as it is unthinkable. A military showdown between 2 nuclear-armed superpowers, the United States and China. A conflict that could reshape the world order. Is Australia vulnerable at the moment?
Australia is monstrously vulnerable at the moment. We have this naive faith that American military power is infinite, and it's not.
Tonight, leading minds on the looming war with China.
It's going to be waged on an economic front. It's going to be waged on a social affairs front. They're going to come at us all ways.
How likely is it? How prepared are we? And at what cost for us and the world?
Use all your imagination. Think about all the nightmares you can think of. And what will happen will be 10 times more than your worst nightmare. You are talking about the possibility of Armageddon.
Taipei is a modern metropolis, capital of Taiwan, an island half the size of Tasmania, yet home to a population just about the same as all of Australia. The trigger point for conflict with China, if it comes, is right here. Why do you think people in Australia should care about what's happening in Taiwan right now?
Because we are a democracy, and democracy do not survive in isolation.
Yep.
Sin Cheng Xiao is an entrepreneur who runs a tech startup in Taipei. In recent months, he's grown increasingly nervous about China's growing threats to reunify with Taiwan, by force if necessary. What is it particularly about Chinese rule that you're scared of?
Number one is losing all your freedoms, right? Because Taiwan has been enjoying, our democracy and our liberties, our freedoms for the past few decades. And it is just unimaginable that, we would be reunified with an authoritarian regime and then surrender such freedoms. So, no, it's not an option.
For Zhao and many other Taiwanese, the crackdown on democracy in nearby Hong Kong is a warning of what may be to come.
They lost their basic right to vote, to elect their officials, to speak their minds, to protest. Hong Kong people just live under fear every single day. So we all hope that it doesn't come to this, right? Because Taiwanese would have to fight. And although we spend heavily on military equipment, we are no match for the second largest army in the world.
China is increasingly vocal about bringing what it views as a renegade province to heel, stepping up its warnings to the rest of the world not to meddle in its business.
Anyone who dares try to do that will have their heads bashed bloody against the Great Wall of Steel, forged by over 1.4 billion Chinese people.
President Xi Jinping's hard line at the 100th anniversary of the Chinese Communist Party in July was followed by a record number of
3
Chinese
times more
fighter
people than we
planes
have.
breaching Taiwanese airspace, more than 150 incursions over just a 4-day period. The question is, if China does make a move on Taiwan, will the US respond?
Be better.
Right now, the answer seems to be yes.
I just want to make China understand that we are not going to step back. We are not going to change any of our views.
So are you saying that the United States would come to Taiwan's defense if China attacked?
Yes, we have a commitment to do that.
Those who want to block China's unification with China's Taiwan will be doomed to failure.
Victor Gao is an expert in Chinese affairs and an unofficial mouthpiece for the regime in Beijing. Vice President of the Center for China and Globalization think tank, is a former diplomat who was the interpreter for communist leader Deng Xiaoping. The US does intervene in Taiwan and Australia supports them. What will happen to Australia?
Listen, if Australia goes to fight together with the US soldiers in China's drive for reunification between China's mainland and China's Taiwan, then you are talking about the worst thing you can dream of A war between China and the United States will soon escalate out of control, and that will be Armageddon, Armageddon, and Armageddon. And this is what I hope the Australian people will come to realize, that you need to deal with China with respect as much as you give to the United States.
Through simulated invasions, China has been showing off the military might it could unleash if Taiwan puts up a fight. At the sprawling Zuraha training base in Inner Mongolia, troops are schooled in street-to-street combat in a mock Taipei. As you can see from these satellite images and from these photos, there's even a building with an extraordinary resemblance to Taiwan's presidential headquarters.
Holy shit.
It's all designed to send a message. We are armed, we are ready, and we can make a move whenever we want.
Yeah, they got Russia on their side.
Let the Chinese people do their mission. Let China's mainland unite with Taiwan, and that will make the Chinese, the Americans, the Australians, and mankind as a whole happier and safer.
You said Australia should show China more respect, but it sounds to me like you want Australia to kneel down before China and fear them.
Absolutely not. I think China probably at the heart is a country of pandas. Do you really want to fear panda? Do you think a kangaroo will fear a panda? Probably not. A panda probably will run away in front of a leg-kicking kangaroo.
This is what we will get all the time from, as people say, the panda huggers. I believe that the Chinese Communist Party's aim is to be dominant in this region and perhaps dominant in the world. And this is a zero-sum game. It must remove America from the Western Pacific in order to be dominant in this region. Simple as that.
Few have a handle on the strategic perils of the Taiwan issue, quite like Australia's former Major General, Jim Molan. A lot of experts are looking in the crystal ball at the moment, trying to figure out if and when there would be war over Taiwan. When do you think this is likely to all play out?
Fundamentally, given the power that they have now in their military, they could act any time from now on. And that's what frightens me more than anything.
So if a move on Taiwan does happen, how's it likely to play out? Jim Molan believes there are three likely possibilities.
The first scenario is what I call the incremental model. China places a blockade around Taiwan, a no-sail, no-fly blockade, says to Taiwan, OK, well, you can happily go bankrupt Taiwan, and let's see what the Americans do. Now, the Chinese can back off if the Americans come through with overwhelming force, which I don't believe they can. But until then, China may be able to achieve its aim without fighting. The second scenario is a sudden attack, a Pearl Harbor type attack, to take out all the American bases in Japan, in South Korea and in Guam. And then they turn around and say to Taiwan, well, what do you reckon, Taiwan? Do you want to be destroyed by us? The third model is to do them both.
The second China starts targeting US military assets, surely then it's a very slippery slope towards all-out nuclear war.
No, I don't believe that's the case. America would be foolish, even though it may have suffered a tactical defeat, to use nuclear weapons because it would start losing American cities.
It's a terrifying prospect, the two biggest powers in the world going toe-to-toe. But as you'll see, there are strong reasons to believe war is not as likely as some might think. A quarry on the northern outskirts of Melbourne seems an unlikely testing ground for the weapons of tomorrow. But here, a war game in miniature is underway.
3, 2, 1.
Defentex is a Victorian company developing autonomous drones for the battlefield. It's headed up by Travis Reddy, who believes these diminutive weapons could be a critical part of Australia's arsenal.
It's cheap, it's expendable, and can group together in a mass or a swarm so that we can have this big impact in the battlefield.
How much are your developments made for the sole purpose of helping a country with a small defence force like Australia take on a big force like China?
That's ultimately the reason that we exist.
Each tiny flying machine can carry a powerful payload.
It could be a smoke round, an anti-tank round, an anti-personnel round, a radio retransmission system.
But their real strength comes when they swarm in huge numbers. If you end up getting hundreds or thousands of these drones working together at one time, what can they actually achieve?
Yeah, they can have a devastating effect.
It's early days yet, but increasingly cheap autonomous drones are being viewed as a key to modern warfare, particularly for nations like Australia.
We're a very small country. We have a very small defence force. So we have to maximise the impact that every individual soldier can have.
So this could be a big tactical advantage for the little guy.
100%.
And I want to thank that fellow down under. Thank you very much, pal. Appreciate it, Mr. Prime Minister.
Right now, of course, Australia's focus is on the much bigger military hardware that'll result from the AUKUS Pact. It'll be a couple of decades yet before the cementing of the relationship with our two most trusted allies results in shiny new nuclear submarines. Former Major General Jim Molan fears that's far too late.
It's excellent to have something out there in the future, 10, 20 years away. The question I've got is, what are we going to do for the next war? And the next war is not going to be 10 or 20 years away. It's going to be in the next 3 to 10 years. My estimate is in a serious fight, the Australian Defence Force only has enough missiles for days. This is not going to be resolved in days. And of course, we're not big enough. We should expand the Defence Force significantly.
It's a pretty bleak picture you paint. It sounds like we're stuffed.
I don't think being stuffed is a strategic word that I've used very often, but it's not bad. We should fund defence now based on our assessment of the national security strategy, which is based on the war that we want to win.
In short, you think Australia needs to prepare for war tomorrow?
Absolutely.
One thing is clear, while Australia's new subs will be nuclear powered, they won't be carrying nuclear warheads. But veteran Communist Party loyalist Victor Gao says Australia has already crossed the nuclear line.
I would say the AUKUS deal in itself, by enabling Australia to build nuclear submarines, will have one big consequence for Australia. That is, Australia will no longer enjoy the benefit and the very rare privilege of not being targeted with nuclear weapons going forward.
I think you're comparing oranges and apples there. Australia is doing a deal for nuclear-powered subs. They're not getting nuclear weapons. Why should Australia then be a target of nuclear weapons?
Listen to me. The tubes in a submarine can be armed with both nuclear warheads and conventional warheads. Now, in the heat of a battle or in the heat of a war, do you think Australia will allow inspection as to what kind of warhead you put into that big tube? I can bet you, in the heat of battle, no one will pause, and the safe approach is to target Australia as a nuclear-armed country.
Senior figures in China have said that because Australia has entered into the AUKUS agreement, that it is now a target for nuclear weapons. Do you think that's just bluff and bluster?
I would call that bluff and bluster in that category specifically.
Whatever, man.
From overseeing the most powerful naval fleet on Earth,
How we doing? Good to see you.
Richard Spencer prefers a quieter life these days. As former Secretary of the US Navy under Donald Trump, he watched China's military power and belligerence grow. But he's cautiously optimistic that tensions won't spill into all-out war.
You know, China, I don't believe, is quote-unquote looking for a fight specifically to fight. It wants to flex its muscles. But look what happened in the Cold War with Russia. I mean, we managed many hot friction points, and it never went to a kinetic state.
What do you mean by kinetic?
You start firing rounds downrange.
Nuclear asshole.
How likely do you think that is?
I would hope that that's a far probability. because it does no one any good.
During the Cold War, mutually assured destruction prevented conflict as both sides feared the consequences of the other's nuclear arsenal. But Richard Spencer believes war will be prevented this time by a different threat of destruction: economic. In this modern, globalised world, China and the US are each other's largest trading partners, so in reality, highly dependent on each other.
Yes.
It's a very interesting symbiotic relationship when you trade and have very meaningful commodities traded with your competitor. You can't simply cut the line. You can't simply have some sort of knee-jerk reaction without unintended consequences.
I guess that's where this situation is so unique compared to wars of past eras, because back then countries were self-sufficient, and now it is such a globalized economy that it's a completely different landscape.
Completely different landscape. Financially intertwined, trade intertwined, that matrix that you described right there, the complexity of it, I would say is the safety gate for, all-out war.
Australia's relationship with China is just as intertwined, and given that, the former head of the US Navy believes it might not be in our best interests to defend Taiwan militarily, even if we were morally opposed to any Chinese aggression. Is there an argument to say that perhaps it's not worth it for Australia and the United States to get involved in that?
I'm simply a citizen, but I would have to ask the question of my government leadership: can we think long and hard about this? Knowing the scenarios, they're quite difficult. It would be a question that has to be asked.
Is it kind of a case of you don't want to get involved in a war that you know you're probably not going to win?
It's a very problematic situation in that regard. You have to think about what the results are at what cost.
But Jim Molan believes inaction could be even costlier for Australia.
Suppose we said, OK, Taiwan, well, you're on your own up there, and the Chinese snapped it up, and the Chinese started looking around the rest of the world, and they might snap up other liberal democracies like Australia. And we might then turn to America and say, America, well, could you give us a bit of a hand here? And the Americans might say what we said to Taiwan. Where do you draw the line? This situation that's developing now is an existential threat to Australia as a liberal democracy.
Hopefully that day of reckoning will never come, but there's no doubt we're living in perilous times. It's China's move now in this global game of chess, and everyone will be watching with bated breath to see what happens next.
China has no desire to preach to the Australians. We are, after all, the largest trading partners. We play it right. You will have the best of the two worlds. You will have the United States as your staunch ally. You will have China as your biggest, largest, ever expanding, and always affordable market. Please don't fight. Don't pull the trigger. Let's make peace rather than make war.
So China is just a big, cuddly panda.
Well,
largest military
overwhelming odor of alcohol. Don't follow.
Force in the.
So there's a lot of takeaways from that.
Over there. Do you have anything on you that need to be concerned about?
I kind of liked the Australian 60 Minutes a whole lot more than I like ours right now. Okay, so I'm basically been on over half the time that freaking I think Dan's show is only an hour, but Glenn Beck and Levin and all their shows, I've already been like without a stop here, but granted I haven't been talking as much as they have on this particular video. But anyway, so takeaways from that crazy thing has to be where there's so many scenarios just there. Like, I've said it for a while now. Taiwan, honestly, is the other beacon of fucking freedom to the length of freedom on par with our country. Like, and for them to, I guess it's what pisses China off is that they've flourished so well as their own democracy and their own, free nation in such a short amount of time when they've got from underneath their thumb. Like, and, see, that's where the issue lies with butting in. Because the Russians and the Chinese, I'm sure when Ping and Putin got together at the Olympics a month and a half, 2 months ago, talked about this and the fact that Russia feels anything that used to be part of the Soviet Union eventually will be theirs again. They will take, you know what I mean? Like, it's ingrained in Putin being a former KGB, Soviet, during all this. He's seen all this. He's been through the Cold War. He's dealt with, brainwashing our people. And then flipped it. So, again, their invasion of Ukraine has more to do with, I still don't know if he plans on just, taking over the whole country. I believe him at his word. I think there's something else more, and I can't talk about it because anything posing or just pointing out what could be happening from this standpoint, like, seems to be automatically labeled as whatever. False, misinformation, lies, whatever you want to fucking call it. And it's not anything but, again, an opinion calling a spade a spade. Like, is this their attempt to bust the New World Order? Is this the attempt to call out transgressions going on in Ukraine done by higher ups in our government? That would be my theory, and that would be the reason, if you're going around talking that crap, no one's seeing it because you're being censored. But again, it's just a thought. Because at this point, it's hard to trust the American media other than what I show you. Because at least we're provided facts, not put together clips, not a bunch of people sitting around talking shit on a topic. Just, hey, throw out a topic. Oh, Trump and the insurrection on January 6th. Let's push this fucking shitstorm even more. Like, and all the evidence shows that was an inside job. The Democrats wanted that to happen. They have lied about videos. The videos they've released from inside shows a bunch of people just, in the Capitol. And last time I checked, it was okay to go in. But, anyway. So, the way Russia feels about Ukraine and other countries in that region, China feels that way about Taiwan. So, trying to think ahead to the point where, well, if they take Taiwan easily and they just go after Taiwan and nobody butts in, then Australia might be doomed to be next. same size military. Like, you know, do you give them cause to do it? Or, again, I don't know if, God forbid, China and Russia and any of their allies that would help them out could take on every military in the countries that are part of NATO or the UN if they all banded together as one. Like, that's the one good thing about the fact that we're so close to totalitarianism, is that if the fuckers really want the New World Order to go on, the ones that are pulling all the strings, they really want it to go on, you think they band together. You think they try to shut down these communist type powers that aren't ever going to bend to their idea of totalitarianism, one world government. They'll never do it. They want to be the one world government. I don't want to be governed by you fucking elite fucking Masons, Freemasons, you know, by the controlling group, you know. So I don't know. It's crazy to think about. It's scary to think about. I really thought maybe we'd coast through. Like, I guess, you know, if it didn't happen during my lifetime, then for sure than my son's. But I don't want to leave him for that too. You know, I'd rather be here to help it, to be here through the situation than not. That's kind of gloomy to think about, but I never thought he'd grow up in a world like this, or that I'd live through something like this. But I guess who does? Honestly, you know, whoever thinks about that. But let's all hope that cooler heads prevail. The only thing that sucks is the guy we've got. If you believe what I believe when it comes to almost overwhelming proof, but the relationship between I can't even do it, like the guy in the middle there, like Ping Bing Bi, yeah, anyway. And I'm yawning. I'm falling down steps. I'm missing words. My son is an idiot. If you think that they happen to be together on this, that's a scary thought, man. And he's just letting him do it, and he's not going to do anything to oppose it, and just let them get away with it because they keep padding bank accounts. I don't know. It's just awfully scary. You know. Prepare for Armageddon. China's warning to the world. It's pretty, yeah. Anyway, I thought I had. Anyway, sorry guys. I guess we are gonna get on out of here. Oh, I'd like to. Yeah. Oh, well, actually, in the video on this, a different point, by the way.
Slash art. Because you know Bill Burr's a comedian, so I wonder how he actually felt about all this as a comedian.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah.
History. Very few things leave me absolutely
Oh, you
speechless,
son of a
but
bitch.
I don't know if you guys saw the clip from the Oscars 2022. I didn't think I would ever see this, but a drummer turned director won an Oscar for an incredible documentary called Summer of Soul, When the Revolution Could Not Be Televised.
Okay,
Is this past?
Anyway. This is all crap about that stupid crap. Like, Jesus. Over now. It's everything that anybody's talking about, boy. And I'm trying not to. Anyway.
Max.
There we go. So anyway. We're thank you if you watched on the live stream, and then thank you for anybody that tunes into the podcast once I get it all cut up and put together. Just remember, guys, we're all on the same team. Or at least I'm on your team. I'm trying to, if you're on the left, provide you some truth and just, hope for understanding to keep living in a free world or free country. So, and to understand what's going on that we can't change, but maybe we can get ready for. So, y'all have a good one. We'll see you next time.